with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday today, and on Wednesdays, I jump on and share a technique with you. So sometimes it's a fancy fold or a fun fold, and sometimes it's a technique that you can use to make a project or a card. Today, I'm sharing watercolor wash. It's a really easy technique to create really pretty subtle backgrounds, maybe not so subtle depending on how dark your ink is that you use, but backgrounds typically, or backgrounds for images that you die cut or stamp, using either a reinker or your stamp pad and a water painter. Just a really easy wash is exactly what it sounds. Just mix some ink up and then wash it over. And I'm using watercolor paper because it works the best. It holds the water better than the basic white or the very vanilla. So that's what I'm going to share today. It's quick and easy background. And if you make some of these up in advance, you can, then you've always got them to create a really quick and easy card with. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. Okay, so these are what I'm using, the Unbounded Love suite. Well, actually, technically, I'm using two bundles. So it comes in the suite called Unbounded Love. So there's the Unbounded Love, which is all the images and a whole bunch of label dies that you can use with them. It's really a great kind of a standalone, doesn't have to be used with this suite of products, but it's really a great set of sentiments. And then, of course, the dies that you can cut them out with. And then I'm also using the Flowers of Beauty, which is the second bundle. So this is a mega bundle in the new Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And this is two-step stamping flowers, and then, of course, the dies to cut some of these flowers out, as well as some standalone dies that you can use. So I'm using the standalone dies from these, and one of the label dies. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to do any more stamping than that, but let's start to work on our wash. So I've got a piece of the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. It comes as, let's see, it comes as 5 inches by 7 inches. So I've actually trimmed this down to be 3.5 by 4 3/4. And that's what I'm going to use for my background. And then I've got a bunch of others things cut. I'm using the new in colors. So this is Pretty in Pink and Petunia Pop. I just love this color combination together. So I've gone ahead already and cut some sprigs and leaves out of the Pretty in Pink and the Petunia Pop a little bit. And then I also have cut out one of the pieces. Where is it here? So I cut out one of the this is one of the dies, and I cut it out of the Fluid 100 paper. And then the other piece that coordinates with this is this die here, which is kind of a scalloped oval. Put that back. And I cut that out of Petunia Pop. And you can kind of just layer this over top of it. It works probably best if you think about using the adhesive sheets on it, because of course now I'm going to have to try and put just little bits of glue on this tiny little piece that I'm going to put on there, but I'm going to stamp my sentiment first before I attempt that. But the first thing I want to do is try and create this wash that I'm going to use on the back. So I've got this is the biggest Fluid 100. It's the big brush, sorry, not Fluid 100, water painter. And it's already got splatters on it, and that's perfectly okay. And then I pulled out my Pretty in Pink. I will say this technique works best with reinkers, so that you can put a drop or two of the reinker onto a big clear block and then add water from your water painter. I don't have my reinkers yet. My order hasn't arrived that I was able to put in on May 1st. So I am going to use I've just kind of picked up using my brush end just a little bit of the color from I don't want a lot, because if you can see, I'm actually pulling the ink off my ink pad. And then I'm just kind of mixing it in my lid with water. So this is going to be a pretty subtle background, and that's okay. It's going to be incredibly subtle because this Pretty in Pink is very, very pale. And what I might do is once I get this on, because you can barely see that. So let's pull out the Petunia Pop. If I could find Petunia Pop, I would pull it out. Where is my Petunia Pop? Oh, there it is. I haven't even opened this one yet. Brand new ink pad. So we'll open this one. I think I'm going to try and add some Petunia Pop. Hey, Carol, where in Canada? Are you in BC too, or what? Where are you? All right, so let's close that up. I'm going to switch over to, so I've got a little bit of ink here already. So I'm going to just add some water to that. And you can see, hopefully that'll give me a little bit more color. Oh, it's still pretty pale. That's okay. We're going to have a very pale whitewash. If you wanted more color, maybe Berry Burst would give you more color, but I'm okay with this really pretty subtle. Oh, New Brunswick. Welcome from New Brunswick. Hey, Roberta. Welcome. Okay, so I have a really pale background, but that's okay. I got some Petunia Pop behind it. Now you want to let that dry. Because I don't have time to let that dry just on its own, I'm going to pull out my heat tool. So if this is loud for a minute, apologies. Hopefully you can still hear me. But I'm just going to take and dry this with my heat tool. If it curls or warps in any way, you can turn it over. But I find if you lay it flat and just kind of go back and forth and then turn it over and do the same, you can kind of keep it fairly flat. There we go. That's pretty dry. Now, if you're going to stamp on this, you want it to be very dry. So I suggest that you let it dry completely, maybe overnight even, before you try to use it. Now I'm going to pick up, and I'm just going to do some splattering, hopefully. So I've picked up some of that. I have a question. Do you have a license in Manitoba? Okay, yeah, in Manitoba. So I'm in British Columbia, and we don't have to have a license to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, but in Manitoba you do, and I know in New Brunswick you do. And I think, at least in Manitoba, I think they've got that set up when you actually sign up as a demonstrator. I don't actually have to have that in British Columbia. But the deal that is going on at the moment with the in color colors is absolutely amazing. Okay, so I've picked up some of that Petunia Pop, and I'm just using my water painter just to splatter the ink on it to give some. So, and to clean these off, it's really easy. Just as long as you've got water in there, just take and squeeze this, and I'm just using a baby wipe until, even though the end of this may not be completely color, look like the color free, you can, you pretty much get the color out. One other tip about the water painters, and I think it's because they're actually made in Japan, I don't know that, they unscrew the opposite way to the way you think. And so to unscrew this, I am turning it clockwise, and to screw it on, you're turning counterclockwise, which is opposite to what you might think. And I know I've had some people confused by that. Carol, if you want to chat about the offer or anything, you can reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat with you. And maybe I can answer some or get some other questions answered for you about the license you might have to have in New Brunswick. Okay, so I think that's dry enough. So I am going to take and adhere this. Typically, oh, you are a hobby demonstrator. Oh, yeah, I know. I don't know about having the license, and I understand that, but okay. So I like to use either tear and tape adhesive or my Stamp and Seal when I'm using the watercolor paper, the Fluid 100, that has been added liquid to it where it may curl a bit. I just find it sticks better, and you can control that, the curl on the edges. So either your Stamp and Seal or your tear and tape adhesive will make sure you get the edges. If you do use the glue, you might have to put glue dots in the corners maybe to stop that curling if it's got some curl to it. Okay, so I've got a piece of the Pretty in Pink. Such a pretty color. It's come back. We used to have Pretty in Pink, and now it's back again. They had retired it at one point in time. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. And I've managed to get some ink on there, but that's okay. We will just hide that. It's on the inside. Don't know what that rubbed up against. Okay, so I've scored it, used my bone folder, and then that will go on that. So this was, what did I say that was? 3.5. So this Petunia Pink, Petunia Pop is 3 3/4 by 5. So you get a little bit more of that. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out some. So if you wanted to do some stamping on this, you could absolutely, I would probably stamp it using Tuxedo Black Memento, again, making sure it's completely dry before you stamp. But I'm going to use these gorgeous die cuts. And I'm going to just use some glue dots because I really want this to be, these sprigs to be kind of free floating. So I'm only going to put the glue dots at the bottom. Oopsie. These glue dots are strong and I almost tore my piece, so we'll just use my take your pick tool. So I'm going to take that. So this is longer than my piece, but that's okay. It can go over the edge. And again, I'm going to use a glue dot. Just going to put that kind of off to the side like that. Oops. Like that. Okay, now I've got my piece, my oval that I stamp, or my cutout. I'm going to stamp it in Petunia Pop. And I think I'm going to stamp and use, this is one of the die cuts from the Unbounded Love. Can you see this? Isn't that gorgeous? I cut that out and then didn't use it, so I've saved it. I will use it some. So I've got my happy birthday. Can't have too many happy birthday stamps. Just want to make sure that's cleaned off. Doesn't look very clean. I have a feeling I was using Summer Splash when I last used this happy birthday. All right, so we're just going to take and stamp this using Petunia Pop like that. And now, of course, I took, oh, there it is there. So this little piece, we're just going to try very carefully to get a little bit of glue. And I'm going to use my glue technique. So I take a little bit of my liquid glue that won't come out of its container. So I'll open a new one. It's because I forgot. I didn't have my friend Betty on my call, on my video the other day to remind me to put my lid on my glue. All right, so I take a sponge dauber with a little bit of glue, and now I can very gently just put. So if you forget, like I do all the time, to use the adhesive sheets on the back of your cardstock before you cut it out, then the technique using that sponge dauber and some liquid glue works really well. So I'm just going to take that. Just adds a little bit of detail to my, okay, I think it's going to go like that, but I have this really pretty petunia pop ribbon. So let's put this ribbon on first. This is the bordered ribbon that comes in all of the in colors. So this is the petunia pop. And we're just going to wrap that around. And I do use Stampin' Seal when I have ribbon on the back of my cards so that it sticks nicely and doesn't come loose like that. This ribbon ties lovely bows if you haven't tried it yet. It's really pretty. It comes in all of the in colors and basic beige, which is not a new in color, but is a new color that Stampin' Up! Introduced in this new catalog. Put that on like that. Yeah, I love that technique, Carol. I don't know where somebody I saw that use it, and it works so well. And then I'm going to use dimensionals. Don't have any left on this, so we'll just cut these. Just cut around the edge so that you can use all this extra pieces of the dimensionals and not have them go to waste. I think I'm going to put it like that. Like that. So it's kind of free floating, which I really like. And then I think I'm going to take just a piece. It's about, I don't know, 5 inches long or so, and we'll just do a faux bow. Just tuck that piece underneath and tie a single knot right there, and then you can trim the ends however long you want them to be. Isn't this a pretty color combination? Oh my gosh, love, love, love it. There we go. Okay, and then the last thing, and I completely forgot about the inside of the card, so I'll have to finish that later. So let's use these. These are the in color shimmer gems. Looking for my take your pick tool. So they're really pretty. So I'm going to use the petunia pop ones. Like that. And I'll finish the inside of the card because I completely missed getting a piece of basic white cardstock to go on the inside. All right, so that's the whitewash or the watercolor wash behind it. And you can make it all sorts of colors. You could make it an ombre effect, or you could do it, you know, like a sunrise or sunset with, you know, going from kind of a reddy color up to oranges and yellows, whatever you want. But it's just a really easy way to create some interest on your background. And again, this is called Unbounded Love, which is the products from the Unbounded Love suite in the annual catalog that just was released. So there we go. Thank you. Okay, so that, hopefully you like that. Don't forget to share your cards. If you're part of my Facebook group, the link to that is underneath this video. So if you're not part of that group, feel free to click the link and I will approve you to be in the group. And I love it when you share your cards in our group. And hopefully tomorrow I'm going to get around to doing some share prizes for people who've shared over the last few months. I've kind of gotten behind in that. So stay tuned for some share prizes to be announced. And I will be live tomorrow. Tomorrow is a mystery challenge, so I will share some clues with you, or clues with you. Basically, I give you a list of things, or a tic-tac-toe challenge, and you can come along and make a card with me. Thank you, Roberta. I appreciate it if you share my video. All right. Thank you for joining me today. Come back tomorrow. Again, it's 2 o'clock Pacific, and we'll do that mystery challenge. Saturday is my virtual launch. So if you live in Canada, and you aren't a demonstrator or don't have a regular demonstrator that you deal with, feel free to join us. The link is in my Facebook group. We have a separate group for our virtual launch. So that's all day on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you'd like to come along, make sure you're part of that group. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. We will see you tomorrow. Happy stamping. Bye.